welcome back, everyone, to No Longer the Last Word podcast. Welcome to the Hoop Life TV podcast. We have rebranded. Things are going to be a little different from now on. We are no longer with the company Last Word on Sports. We've branched out and started our own website, HoopLifeTV.com. So big things are coming there. Podcasts will remain relatively similar with me, Stacey, and Mike. Let's say what's up, guys.
What's going on, y'all? Glad to be back. Let's do it.
Yo, what's up? What's up? Yeah.
So everything will be the same with that, and Ben will usually be on to do the hot take segment. He's just away on vacation this week. So not much changes coming from the podcast side of things. So I guess we'll just get right back into the episode. Sorry for the delay and posting. This is actually honestly probably the fourth time we've recorded episode 13. We've been messing around with a new system, and it's just caused crazy echo. So we've been recording episodes every week. It's just that when we go to edit them, there's horrible echo, so we can't actually post it. So we apologize for that. So we're just sticking to the roots here and not doing anything fancy, just so we can make sure we get something out. But enough with the introduction. That was way too long. We do have another introduction. I forgot. We have a guest. Let's welcome back David Cole to the podcast. He's been on before. He's Mike's co-host for the Here's the Deal podcast. You can find them on all social medias and listen to them wherever you can find podcasts. I highly recommend going to listen to them. It's a great podcast. But say what's up, David.
Hey, what's good, everybody? HoopLifeTV, we here.
David's also going to be contributing for HoopLifeTV, so we're excited. We got some big things coming, and check out the website if you haven't, and follow us on pretty much all social media platforms as well. So let's just get right into it because this is going to be a long episode. We are basically doing a free agency recap so far. Just because we haven't been able to talk about it yet. So I guess we'll start with what's most recent in the news and kind of still on everyone's minds. And Mike's about to have a heart attack. The Battle of Los Angeles. Stacey just wrote an article for Hoop Life TV. I'll link that in the description below. But the LA Clippers versus the LA Lakers. Oh, boy. So we'll start with the Clippers first. It was 1 a.m. Eastern time. Kawhi Leonard announces that he's signing with the Clippers, kind of just blowing everyone's minds. It was kind of assumed by pretty much everyone at this point that he was going to the Lakers. It probably broke Mike's heart a little bit. Probably broke Stacey's heart a little bit too. You know, LeBron wants a ring, and Stacey's all about that. But no, he ended up going to the other team in LA, the Clippers. And probably what's more shocking is the announcement that Paul George is going to be joining him. The Clippers sent a trade. They pretty much sent every first-round pick they'd had. I believe it was a record for the amount of first-round picks sent in a trade to land Paul George. So now the Clippers are headlined by Kawhi Leonard and Paul George. So I guess we'll start with the Clippers for now. Stacey, tell us a little bit about what you're thinking about the Clippers coming into this season.
First of all, I am shocked. That not only they got Kawhi Leonard, which was kind of expected. We did hear about the Clippers getting Kawhi for quite some time. It was the third team in the race in our minds. But them landing Paul George too, getting Paul George too, that was big. That was major. And, not only this put them back in the playoff picture, but they could be NBA Finals contenders and winners with, the East. They're wide open now. We don't know what's coming out the East. And then we got, Golden State. They're reeling right now. But the Clippers just propelled to the top, literally overnight.
Okay. Michael, what about you? I know you kind of lost Kawhi with this going to the Clippers. How are you feeling about the Clippers?
So going back to when it happened, my initial reaction, I was in Atlanta, like I told you this past weekend. For some reason, I just decided to stay up late. I was like, man, I'm kicking it. I think something going to happen tonight. First blow to my chest, Kawhi Leonard going to the Clippers. I handled that to an extent. I handled that because I always knew it was a possibility. It was always a possibility no matter what you say. But that was the first blow. But 2 seconds later, when I seen that Paul George was going to the Clippers, I walked out the house. I called David. I called David. I was heated. I said, of all teams, the two guys that the Lakers were supposed to get were the favorites. End up on the Clippers somehow. So at that time, I was heated. As a Laker fan, I was heated. I, man, look, let me not get into that. But going forward, being objective, looking at what the Clippers now, they're definitely probably going to be the best defensive team in the league. I think when you're led by Kawhi Leonard with that length, we seen what he did in the playoffs, and you add Paul George, who was what, third place for defensive player of the year. He was in the running for it, maybe second. So you're spearheaded by that. Then you have Pat Bev, who's probably the best on-ball defender for point guards. You're going to have a top defense in the league right there. You got Dogs and Montrezl Harrell. You got Lou Williams scoring for you. The Clippers, I hate to admit it as a Laker fan, they looking pretty good right now. I definitely have them in my top 3 in the West right now, easily.
Okay. David, tell me a little bit about what you're thinking about the Clippers, and I kind of want to hear more about the phone call you had with Michael that night.
well, as far as Michael, he called me in distress. He was he was a little sick. He was like, first Kawhi happened, and then the Paul George news broke. He was tight. He was like, all right, I don't know how we lost out on both of the LA guys that were supposed to be coming to the Lakers, but it happened. So he was real tight. I had to soothe him a little bit. It's okay. You still got Bron, you still got AD. The Lakers gonna be fine. But as far as the Clippers, I think it caught everybody by surprise, though. Paul George news is what really caught me by surprise. I never thought he was going to the Lakers because, my heart wouldn't allow that. So once they announced that he was looking for a long-term deal, I did think that the Clippers were an option. But getting that second star in Paul George, I think exactly what Michael said. They go immediately to a top defensive team. And the league really hasn't had 2 great wing defenders in a long time. A lot of people are likening them to Scottie and Michael, at least defensively. So I think that's going to definitely set the league in a different direction a little bit. I think they do need help kind of in their center position, power forward position, because right now you got Harrell and Zubac, which they'll get you some scoring. I'm not sure how it's going to work. And they did extend Zubac. So, hey, he's going to have to take a next step. But they're immediately going to be a great team. They're immediately going to be top 4 in the West, maybe top 3 or so. I think they do have a little bit more work to do. Obviously, when you bring in 2 superstars like that, it's going to take a little bit of development. But having Doc Rivers there, a player's coach, he's going to be able to do God knows what with them. So, hey, I think they'll immediately be a great team. Lou Williams going to win another 6-man award. And I think Paul George or Kawhi will be in that MVP conversation coming next year.
So, moving on. Actually, before I move on, with the Clippers, do you think they have kind of a weak point? David, we'll go right back to you. Do you think they have like a part in their lineup where they're definitely lacking compared to other teams, or do you think they're just as strong as anyone else?
The only part I see them lacking is a center that can match up. Because if you're the lineup that I assume they'll go with like late in games to close out games will be a Pat Bev, Lou Williams, Kawhi, Paul George, and then maybe Montrezl Harrell. So Montrezl Harrell being a 6'8", 6'9" type of center, that's the only place I can see them falling a little bit short against maybe a 7-footer.
Okay. Michael, what about you? Do you think the Clippers kind of have any weak points?
Oh, they do have a weak spot on their squad, and David just said it. They're a little undersized down there at center, so when you go up against, I don't know, maybe a guy like Anthony Davis or DeMarcus Cousins, you put a little body on them, you won't be able to intimidate them at all, but the lack of size there, I think that's something you can exploit. You can go big against them. Yeah, they have those wing guys on the outside, but I'm trying to think. They lost that rook. What's his name? Shai Gilgeous-Alexander.
Yeah.
They lost their point guard there. So I think they're a little short on the guards. They got a lot of wings. They got Mo Harkless. So they got a lot of wing guys there. But when you go big and you double up down there and you're attacking the paint, I think you can struggle down there. Zubac is tall, but hey.
Defense.
He used to play for the Lakers.
Oh my God.
I know what he's not, and he's not handling Anthony Davis or DeMarcus Cousins if he's healthier this year. So if anything, that would be their only weak spot I see.
Yeah. Stacey, would you agree that height's kind of a problem for the Clippers?
Yeah, I would agree. They do lack, in comparison to the Los Angeles Lakers, they do lack size at that 5 position. I think Anthony Davis and Boogie will cause a matchup problem with the Clippers. But, then again, they can still win with the pieces that they have now, i.e. the Warriors. The Warriors won the big team during their run, and they won 3 championships. They went to 5 straight finals. So, they'll be fine as long as they play tough, they be physical like we expect them to be.
Okay, and with that, we'll move on to the Clippers' inner city rival, the Lakers. Mike, I'm going to start with you.
Hey,
Lakers
come
get
on.
AD. The Lakers signed Cousins. LeBron's going back to the point guard and taking the number 6 back. Talk to me about your Lakers, Michael.
Well, look, guys. Kawhi Leonard, that whole decision took us by surprise. But we did what we had to do. We went out. The Rondo signing, the KCP signing, those were the only two I was like, all right. Rondo, I didn't think he played that particularly well for us last year. But, hey, there's some familiarity there with him, DeMarcus Cousins, Anthony Davis. So there's some chemistry built there. Also, he's already played with LeBron, KCP, and Kuzma. So even though we gave up what some people would say the whole team, there's still some chemistry throughout the team there. Even a guy like Quinn Cook that we picked up has played with DeMarcus Cousins before, and he can knock down a perimeter jumper. So as it stands today, I like where the Lakers looking right now. We got perimeter defenders now. We have Danny Green. We have signed Avery Bradley today. What? Thank you. So,
you guys are just like stealing Celtics players at this point.
Hey, whatever we gotta do. That was a smart signing. I had posted a tweet today of the little Spider-Man meme of the two Spider-Man's players because Avery Bradley and Patrick Beverly.
Yeah, you got a great defender with Bradley.
Yeah, you see that we're kind of already trying to match up with them. Go ahead and get this set up. But I think we've improved our shooting. We've added veterans to our team. We will have some trouble on the defensive end. I have my questions about that. Me and David had spoke about that previously. Quinn Cook gets cooked a lot. That's statistically proven. LeBron, he has his lumps defensively. Kuzma, are we going to see them improve? I don't know. But what I do know, as long as Anthony Davis is healthy, hey, as long as he's manning that back line, we going to be all right. All right, put LeBron at the point. Now other teams have to worry about matching up with that. I think we're going to have a big lineup. I think we're going to have a physical lineup. I think we're going to dominate in the paint just like last year, this year. But now we have some great shooters. We have a Danny Green. KCP at times can get hot. We have Avery Bradley now. So I like overall where the Lakers are positioning themselves and how we're looking going into next season.
Yeah, I saw your tweet the other day. It was like your argument anytime someone says that the Lakers will lose or something like that, your argument is just going to be, who's stopping AD?
Yeah, who's guarding? That's 95% of my Laker arguments will start with that question. Who's guarding AD? That's it.
All right, Stacey, we'll move on to you. What are your thoughts on the new look Lakers with AD, Boogie, and LeBron?
First of all, I want to say that I thought that they necessarily didn't need a third superstar on the team. I wanted them to fill out their roster before they even think about getting another superstar because they got two already. So, they're already in great position. But, after seeing their roster moves and looking at the players on their roster, man, they got one heck of a roster right now. They got somebody on defense, Avery Bradley. They got the three-point shooters that they need, Danny Green. Quinn Cook can knock down a three. Caldwell Pope can knock down a three. They got two of the best big men when healthy in the NBA in Boogie and AD. And then I expected LeBron to be switched to the point guard. And I also, as a LeBron fan, wanted to see him run point. And voila, here we are. And I think, in my opinion, LeBron at point guard, I think he can average a double-double next season. So the Lakers, along with the Clippers, are title favorites. But the one key for them, and this for all teams, but this especially for them, they have to stay healthy. They got to stay healthy. Almost every player on this roster right now has gone through some type of injury the last 2 years, and it's killed the chemistry. We saw that last year with the Lakers with Kuzma, Ingram, LeBron, Rondo, et cetera, just hurt all at different times. So if they stay healthy, the title could be at purple and gold Lakers.
You brought up some good points though, and I've been seeing on social media. Obviously, it could just be people hating on the Lakers because it's not their team or whatever. But it is something to think about. You're bringing on AD who has like injuries all the time, and you're bringing on DeMarcus Cousins who arguably hasn't been the same since his injury and coming back since then. Is that something that the Lakers need to be concerned of? Like, for example, if AD goes down, is their season in the trash, or do you think they still have a chance?
If AD goes down, no, they season 9 trade. They still have plenty of other pieces at every area that they need. So, one player is not going to kill this team with this roster, but they do need to stay healthy. And if they want to win a championship, Anthony Davis must stay healthy.
Yeah, I mean, Mike would lose his argument if that's the case.
All right.
David, though, what are your thoughts on the new look Lakers?
Well, for not getting Kawhi, they made out pretty well. Getting DeMarcus Cousins, instantly a good move. When you're paying him $3.5 million, you can't go wrong with that signing. I think bringing in Danny Green is going to mean a lot for them. Somebody that has that championship experience. Somebody that, just hits shots in big moments. He may not play good for a week stretch, but when you need him the most, he'll come through. I don't like them bringing back KCP. Rondo, I really don't mind. I think Avery Bradley's a great pickup because when KCP's not playing well, you can just stagger the minutes between Danny Green and Avery Bradley. Your two position is pretty solid. They're hitting threes, they're playing defense, and that's really all LeBron needs for the most part. And I love LeBron going to the point guard position. That's kind of what he's been his whole career. It's just not officially his position. But actually playing for this Lakers team, if Rondo's coming off the bench, you have LeBron as your point guard, you're going to have a big lineup, and that instantly gives teams issues. And when you have somebody like DeMarcus Cousins, you kind of want to help him out defensively, having a bigger lineup like that. So I like the moves that they've made. They picked up a couple of knockdown shooters, Troy Daniels. Jared Dudley's going to bring a little bit of grip and gripe to this team, which they're going to need, especially playing against the Clippers team. So they made it out pretty well. I'm not too high on the moves, being that these players are a little bit older. KCP, I'm not a fan of him. JaVale plays good. I'm not mad at JaVale, but a lot of them are washed, question mark players. LeBron's the only one that's really, really proven to me. Anthony Davis, obviously a great talent, but he has some things to prove. So as we go throughout the season, I think keep an eye on that. Coaching is definitely going to be huge for this team. They got about 4 head coaches on their team, so we'll see how that works in the whole grand scheme of things. They have a lot of great basketball minds, but egos may get in the way. Rondo has ego. All these great players have ego. So there may be some clashing in the locker room if things don't click in the first 2 months. So LA drama, here we come. That's what it is. But they'll be obviously a top team in the West.
So the big question is with the Battle of LA is, let's assume that all teams stay the same. There's no more trades, no more signings, whatnot. Where are they placing, like, seeding wise? Like, who do you see getting a higher seed? And do you think they are 1 and 2, or do you think they're lower than that? We'll start right back with you, David.
I think they'll be a 3 or a 4 seed. I don't think they'll be in the top 2 seeds, not particularly because this team, I don't think they'll be too concerned about the regular season. As long as they get in, as long as they're healthy, that's more so what they're concerned about. And they have so much talent, which they'll be somewhere in between, 1 and 5 seed. They're not going to drop past the 5 seed. So I think 3 or 4 seed is good for them. What's up?
Who you got at 1 and 2 then?
Yeah, I was gonna ask the same
1 and 2. 1 and 2, I can see definitely the Clippers being up there. Rockets off of familiarity and just having James Harden, he's gonna get you in that top 4 range. Portland, I think they're not much improved, but they're improved on what they already had. They were a 3 seed last year, and they always do great in the regular season. It's just whether or not they'll get that playoff success. So they'll be in that 1 to 3 range. They may surprise some people, and I think the Warriors, I was low on them, but they got D'Angelo Russell, so I don't think they'll be in that top 3 seed, but they'll be up in there. Because I think the star teams in the league right now are the Lakers, Warriors, and 76ers. Those are your star-studded teams right now. They have 3 or more all-stars maybe going on. So maybe the Rockets or the Clippers be in that 2 seed. Top 2.
Maybe I missed you say it, but where do you have the Nuggets?
Oh, yeah, the Nuggets. See, I forgot about the Nuggets.
Okay,
yeah, the Nuggets.
I was going to say, they're a solid team.
There we go.
That's why I make it. Okay, so if I had to go off the top of my head, I'm going to go Clippers 1, Rockets 2, Nuggets 3, and then Lakers 4.
Oh, okay. All right, Stacey, what about you? Where do you see the Clippers and the Lakers getting seeded?
It's tough to say, to be honest. Of course, their ceiling is 1 and 2, and that's interchangeable between the two teams. But as David just mentioned, it's a lot of teams that already have chemistry there, and that can easily take that 1 and 2 spot. The Nuggets should be better, even though they're young. They should be better. Portland, they still have their core intact. The Rockets, if they get themselves together, they still could be dangerous. And we can't necessarily sleep on the Warriors. I mean, now they have D'Angelo Russell. He's gonna be at the 2. He's gonna provide scoring. I mean, it's just tough to say, but I would definitely say that the ceiling for both of these teams, Lakers and Clippers, is the 1 and the 2 spot. I expect them, but I do expect them to be in that top 4, top 5 range when the season's over with.
What team's seeding higher, Lakers or Clippers?
Okay, now we asking the
Putting you on the
tough
spot.
questions. Oh my God.
If Mike's cam was working, I'm sure he'd be eyeing you down right now.
I know I'm looking. I'm like, let me see what he's about to say.
Assuming both of them healthy, I'm going to give the slight edge to the Clippers because of defense. I think that they're the better defense team. I think the Lakers will kind of struggle in that department, especially early in the season, but they'll get it together by the time the season's in. But right now I'm giving that slight edge to the Clippers.
All right. Mike, what about you? Time to defend your Lake Show.
Time to defend the Lake Show. So just being realistic, I think the Lakers and the Clippers are both going to end up. Here's what I think is going to happen. They're both going to be around the 4 or 5 seed, and we're going to get that in the first round matchup. The reason I say that I don't think they're going to take any of those top 3 seeds is both teams got guys that are going to be doing a whole lot of load management. Kawhi Leonard, hey, I'm sure the Clippers already told him you can sit down as many games as you want. So I expect him to do that. And from the Lakers' perspective, with LeBron coming off the worst injury that he's ever had, he's definitely going to be sitting out some games. AD, my only gripe against him is, yes, sometimes he does sit out for like knick-knack type of injuries. So that may be something that happens. So I think both teams are going to be somewhere in that 4 to 5 range. But I think when the playoffs actually do arrive, they'll probably be the most dangerous teams just because of the teams they have, the experience they have like that. So those top 3 seeds, I think Denver might finish with the best record again. Young legs, they're going to play every game of the season. They're going to go hard. They just got, if I say his name wrong, excuse me, Jeremiah Grant from OKC. They just traded for him. I think that was a great move. That's a young power forward who can come in and start or maybe come off the bench for Paul Millsap, who can defend and knock down a 3-point shot. So I think they'll take the number 1 seed. I think the Rockets, hey, my boy Davis Rockets, I think they'll be up there in that top 3 range just because you have James Harden. He's worried about 50 games on his own. So as long as they don't get off to another slow start, as we've seen, once they got hot, they continued to roll and got all the way back up to the 3 seed. So I think they'll be up there. And who did I say? Denver, Houston. I got a surprise team. Utah is a dark horse team for me to make the NBA
I was
finals.
about to bring them up. Yeah.
I think if healthy now, because Gobert's had his problems, Michael Conley has had his problems, but when healthy, they have a very solid defensive team. You throw Mike Conley in, everybody gets pushed to their natural position. Donovan Mitchell back at the 2 guard position. You got Ingles at the 3. He can guard and defend and lock up people like Paul George for going to the Clippers. Utah has a nice squad, so I think they're gonna win a lot of games during the regular season. So I got the Lakers and Clippers in that 4 and 5 range.
Who's seeded higher? Same question.
Give me the Lakers. Give me that home court. It's gonna be home court anyways if it's Lakers and Clippers. Ain't no home court for the Clippers. It's the Lakers.
No.
Can you imagine how awkward that would be?
Right? I mean, it's got to be kind of good for the players. They ain't got to travel, nothing.
But at the same time, let's be honest. Every game is gonna be a Lakers home game. Like,
you already know.
7
that
games.
just sucks for the Clippers.
What if the conference finals and both of them in the conference finals is LA versus LA? Still think it's gonna be Lakers?
Yes, definitely Lakers.
Clippers
I feel
first
like
time
deep in the
finals.
season it gets harder, especially with like LeBron aging and AD's injuries. It all depends on like how much they load management. Like David brought up, I really don't think the seeds are gonna play too much of an effect for these teams because they are going to be doing a lot of load management. Kawhi's not going to be playing a lot of games. LeBron's not going to be playing too many games regular season. AD will probably sit out a lot if anytime he like hurts his pinky or whatnot. Like there's going to be a lot of load management. Like,
but I think, but also I think that both teams going to want that home court advantage too. So they're going to put in a little work to lock up one of the top 4 seeds in the West.
And what else I really like is them finally announcing that LeBron's just going to go ahead and be the point guard. I like that for him going into this part of his career. I like him having a workhorse in Anthony Davis who he can just dump the ball to and let him go. It's less on his body, going and attacking. He's going to get his, 20, 25 points off rip just because he's LeBron James. He's going to do that. But I like him at the point guard position making this. I mean, that's what he's basically been playing anyways. So now we know he's the de facto. I think we're going to roll out, LeBron, Danny Green. It's tough right now. Because I don't know. A part of me want to roll out a lineup with like LeBron, Green, Bradley, Kuz, and Anthony Davis. But then another part of me wants to do LeBron, Green, Kuz, Davis, and Cousins. So it's tough, man. But we looking all right. We looking all right.
It depends on how many points y'all want to give up that night, right?
Exactly.
All right. So I do have one more question to ask about the Lakers. Do you think that, comparing them to the Pelicans a few years ago is fair? Because kind of what it is throwing LeBron on the Pelicans from 2016, 2017, whatever it was. And it's literally that squad. Rondo was there. AD was there. Cousins was there. Obviously, LeBron's a huge addition, but, it didn't really work for New Orleans when they had all those pieces. What do you think is really different from that? And, Mike, I kind of want to hear your perspective on this.
So, Rondo, DeMarcus Cousins, Anthony Davis. I mean, you probably have three of the top players from New Orleans that time, obviously. You can compare Danny Green to Drew Holiday. I mean,
disrespect.
I mean, I'm saying you can compare for the type of role they're going to play. I mean, Drew Holiday is obviously better and he's an all-star, but the role he played with those three, it's closer to Danny Green role than you would imagine. Obviously, he's a point guard. So, I mean, it's close, but I mean, I think we have better role players off the bench. I think we have a better. I mean, just having LeBron, man. You can't call that no Pelicans. You know what I'm saying?
I did see a tweet that called the Lakers the overhyped Pelicans, so that's why I kind of wanted to bring this up.
Now, what you can say is the Pelicans, the current Pelicans, are the Summer League Lakers. Now, that's what we can say. That's who they are. They got
That can work.
Lonzo, Ingram, Josh Hart. They got the Summer League Lakers. But I mean, it's close. Obviously, you have three players from there, but I mean, hey, it is what it is.
And just imagine if you kept D'Lo without trading Lonzo Ball.
That'd have been good.
I still can't believe that happened. All right, let's move on from the LA talk. Kind of going back to the East Coast. It's a tough subject for me, but we're going to talk about the Brooklyn Nets. They made three big splashes right off the bat when free agency opened. Getting Kyrie Irving, Kevin Durant, and DeAndre Jordan. Are they a legit contender? Obviously, KD's hurt going into the year. But assuming KD would be healthy, where would you rank Brooklyn amongst the Eastern Conference teams? And do you see them as a competitor? And we'll start with that. But I definitely have follow-up questions because I'm about to find any way possible to roast Kyrie Irving. I can't stand that man. He is by far the most hated man in New England. Try to argue me on that one, you won't win. Literally nobody likes him here. You say his name anywhere in New England, it's a tough subject. Like, no, don't do it. Yeah, it's funny. Facebook Marketplace, whatever. People are selling like Kyrie jerseys for like $1. They just want to get rid of them. No one wants to burn them because it's not good.
$1.
Oh my
They're selling it for like $1.
Hey, send them my way.
People just want to get rid of them. No one likes this man. All right. But that was enough of a rant about Kyrie. Do you see Brooklyn as a legitimate threat? They got Kyrie, assuming KD can come back. They got KD, DeAndre Jordan, Caris LeVert. Are they a threat in the East? We'll start with you, Stacey.
Are they a threat in the East? Yes. ... in 2020.
Okay.
As far as next year, they're not going to have Kevin Durant. They're going to be a playoff team, and I expect them to get to at least the second round next year. But, not having KD in that lineup does spell a little trouble for them in the Eastern Conference. But, they are a threat. You can't sleep on the Brooklyn Nets. Look what happened last season. All the way to the 6th seed, pushed the Philadelphia 76ers to 6 games in the first round. So, they are tough. And now they have two dominant scorers in that lineup. But when both of them are there, I could see them being like a top 2-3 seed in the East and even coming out the East. But, that's 2020, and we're going to have to wait to that year to see what they really made of. So next year is going to be like a transitional year. I expect, Kyrie Irving to stay more efficient. He has been more efficient the past 2 seasons with the Boston Celtics. And I'm interested to see the growth of Karis LeVert, Spencer Dinwiddie, and Jared Allen. So, they're going to be a fun team to watch the next few years.
Okay, David, what about you? How are you feeling about Brooklyn? Where do you see them going this year and then the year after when Durant's back?
As far as when Durant gets back, they'll be right there. They'll be making finals appearance, conference finals. They'll be competing with who's ever at the top of the East, whether it be the Sixers, the Bucks, maybe your Celtics will get back in there. But
back in there, they never left.
This year it's gonna be a rough year, but just wait.
They're up there.
You're gonna be asking for Kyrie back.
Keep sleeping. I'm fine with it.
But yeah, next year, when KD does get back, they'll be competing for finals. They'll be going head to head with whoever's in the West for years to come, as long as KD doesn't hit too big of a wall because he is starting to get older. Kyrie's starting to enter his prime, and hey, they have a lot of young talent on this team. LeVert, Spencer Dinwiddie, you already said it. Teron Prince is a very underrated addition to this team. They made that trade during the offseason. He's a very good addition from Atlanta Hawks. So brings in a wing scorer that can, he makes a lot of threes, gets to the basket a little bit, a good defender. So I think he'll be good on the team. I think for this year specifically, they will be in that top 4. I think they'll be a top 4 seed. I believe they were a 5 seed last year. I think adding Kyrie, adding all these other players, there's no way you really go down. So I think they'll be a top 4 seed this year. It's kind of the Sixers, Bucks, and then everybody else kind of. But the Nets, they'll be competing, I think. I think Kyrie, he's going to have a lot to prove this year. Stacey already touched on it. He becomes more efficient year by year, but he has to be able to bring other players along with him, and that's the next step in his game, the next part that he has to prove. So I think with this type of team, they have good coaching, they have a stable organization, and Kyrie really wants to be there. And that's going to be the total difference between this team and that Celtics team, is that he actually wants to be here. He chose this team. This is his decision, and he's going to be here for 4 or 5 years. So he's going to have to make this work. There's no opting for a trade. There's no, I don't like my situation this year. So this year he has to get it right, especially if KD's not going to be there. You're the leader. There's no question about that. You got DeAndre Jordan pick and roll, Jared Allen pick and roll. You better be getting buckets. You better be setting up your teammates. So I think Spencer Dinwiddie can play a lot of that point guard position sometimes because, Kyrie's somewhat of a shooting guard at times. You just want him to score. So I think they'll be able to stagger them well together. And LeVert's only getting better. So this team's continuing to improve. I think they'll be definitely a second-round team, if not Eastern Conference Finals. I think they may be able to push a team like the Bucks in the East.
All right. I'm going to hold back on the Kyrie comments for now until I get to my next question. I'm holding back. It's hard, but I'm doing it. Mike, what are your thoughts on the Brooklyn Nets and kind of where do you see them going this year and then in the year after when Durant's fully healthy?
I like the way Stacey put it earlier. To me, the slogan for the Nets this year is to be continued. Until Kevin Durant comes back, we're not going to see this team at their full potential. I still think they're a playoff team next year in the East, just because they have, D'Angelo Russell, Spencer Dinwiddie, Karis LeVert. That's a good trio of guards right there. That's a lot of points right there. They got guys they can interchange who kind of play alike in sort of a way of that score first mentality. So I think the Nets will be a good team next year. I think they'll land somewhere in that 4 to 7 range in the East because I like Milwaukee over them next year. I like low-key, I like the Pacers over them next year.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I like the job that Nate McMillan has done over there. And then, of course, I have the Sixers over them. I think the Sixers are the best team in the East right now. So the Nets will be competitive. They'll be in the playoffs next year. They might win a series and make it to the second round. But as far as championship aspirations, a lot just depends on what we're getting from Kevin Durant when he comes back. We don't know what he's going to be like coming off an Achilles injury. It's one of those injuries that, hey, some people either bounce back or you retire, honestly, or you're done. You're pretty much not the same player. So their future is banking a lot because I don't think Kyrie can be the number one on a championship team. I think they need Kevin Durant. And to you guys' point about Kyrie and his chemistry, I'm going to give him, the benefit of the doubt. New situation here, new players around him. Obviously, he's in a place where he actually wants to be, signed a big contract. He wants to make it work. So who knows? Maybe this is just the spot that maybe it'll work out for him. But they need Kevin Durant, and I don't think we're going to see this team's full potential till he comes back healthy.
I would definitely agree that Kyrie could not be the number one guy in a team. They're definitely going to need Durant. But all right, so I said I was going to hold back on all my Kyrie comments. It's coming now. So we don't have a hot take segment this week, but this will be my hot take. Y'all can at me if you want.
Let's go, Jordan.
Wholeheartedly believe that the Nets will regret their offseason decisions from this year. Hear me out. So let's have a history lesson, guys. All right, sit around the circle. We're gonna have a history lesson. All right. Flashback to the Cleveland Cavaliers. Kyrie is at a youth basketball event where a young fan comes up and says, "You're not going to leave us like LeBron did, are you?" What does Kyrie say? "Oh, no. No. Fast forward a couple years, demands a trade, heads off to Boston. Very excited to play in Boston. They get Gordon Hayward. It's going to be crazy, G. There's all that hype, and everyone's excited. Kyrie's excited to be in Boston with Gordon Hayward. And flash forward to a year after that when season ticket holder event, and I'm re-signing in Boston if you guys will have me. Says it to everyone, like publicly, says that he wants to re-sign. What does he do? He leaves. It doesn't matter what is going on in that man's life. He will never be happy. He cannot lead a team. He has no ability to lead a team. And that is why I agreed with what Mike was saying, that he cannot be the number one guy on a team. They need Durant because Kyrie cannot lead a team. And, this next part is very unbiased. Maybe I was a little biased before, but this part's completely unbiased. Why I think they're going to regret it is because it's going to stunt the youth's growth potential. So, you look at the Celtics and it kind of became the Kyrie show. And I honestly believe that it stunted the development of Tatum and Brown, our young stars in Boston. And, looking at what the Brooklyn Nets essentially gave up D'Angelo Russell to bring on Kyrie. I think they're really going to regret that. D'Lo's younger. I believe he has a really high ceiling, maybe not as high as Kyrie Irving's ceiling is. I really don't think it's as high as everyone thinks anymore. I don't know. I just think they're really going to regret it. I feel like Caris LeVert is going to get on the bad end of things here, and he's going to get less usage. And I really think the Nets are going to regret this. They had a really young potential. They were a building team. They just made the playoffs with that young squad. And I really believe that they were building for a good future, and they kind of just blew that up to bring on an injured Durant who may never play the same again, and a Kyrie Irving who has proven chemistry and locker room issues and doesn't know how to lead a team. So with all that said, and I kind of brought back the bias a little bit on that second part, do you think there is a chance that the Brooklyn Nets will regret these decisions? Stacey, we'll start with you.
Is there a chance they regret this decision? No, there's not a chance. When you have the opportunity to get Kevin Durant, you take that opportunity. Knicks, but they not gonna regret the decisions. I mean, they for years, ever since they went to Brooklyn from New Jersey, they've been wanting to chase the championship, and now they put themselves in position to do that. Like you said,
but did they though? Did they though? Did they put themselves in a chance? Durant is hurt. Durant is not playing.
I mean, when Durant comes back, I think Durant gonna do well when he comes back. I think he's a hooper, so he gonna do whatever it takes to get back on that court. We saw what he did in game. He did have 11 points in 12 minutes in that game, so he gonna do whatever it takes to come back healthy. And like one of the guys was bringing up, Kyrie wants to be with the Brooklyn Nets. He wants to be there. So
now, yeah, no doubt. Give it a year.
He wants to be. I think he really wants to be there. Like, that's close to his home, and he holds the Nets near.
Didn't you want to be on the Knicks earlier this season?
Probably not. I don't know. I don't know about that. Maybe he was just trying to get that money. But who want to be on the Knicks
Kyrie
right
Irving
now?
Is more like he can't make it. He's like my mom when she goes into a store She picks everything up and puts it down. She can't make a decision.
God.
Like Kyrie. Kyrie can't make a decision. He doesn't know what he wants.
I think his problem is he just trying to appease everybody, and he just not, focus on what he really wants. I think he just want everybody's approval. And, you're gonna have that when you like in your mid-20s and you're just trying to figure life out. But the Brooklyn Nets, they're not.
Yet he thinks the Earth is flat.
He's trolling, man.
Yeah, I mean, I would say he's not the only one that thinks that. I mean, he got a whole group. He got a whole group to pander to. But I think the Nets gonna be fine. They're gonna be fine.
All right, David. What about you?
Well, to get to your Celtics Kyrie point, yeah, he wanted to be there. I mean, I'm not gonna say he wanted to be there, but he was okay with being there with Gordon Hayward until he saw his leg break off, and then he was playing with a one-legged Butler, a guy from Butler. So when he's coming back, I guess he thought he was gonna be good. That's why he made the whole press conference. If you'll have me back, I'll be back. But hey, he came back, and Gordon Hayward wasn't the same. So that definitely changes your perspective on things when you're like, should I be with this team going in the future? So as far as your Celtics bias there, you got to look at that point of view for Kyrie. That's why, he wanted to go back home as well. He wanted to go to the Nets. Brooklyn, you move to a big city. He's going to get plenty of endorsements. I'm pretty sure Nike's okay with that move. He already has one of the highest selling shoes. That's only going to take it further. But you go there with KD. I feel like they're two like-minded guys, especially off of the court. On the court, basketball fit, they'll figure it out. They may not be perfect match, but they're both scorers. They'll figure it out. They'll be able to lead this team at least to championship aspirations. I don't think they'll regret these moves. The Nets, KD has more playoff wins than the Nets franchise has. So with that being said, you're instantly getting something that you haven't had ever in your history. You've had Jason Kidd, you've had Vince Carter, you've had good players, but they're not these type caliber players. I think they take them to a new level. You look at them as a serious team, kind of like the Clippers. The little brother teams are starting to step up. The Brooklyn is taking over New York right now. The New York Knicks, eventually they will get somebody because they are the Knicks. But these other teams are
saying that for years.
And they'll get somebody eventually, or they'll draft somebody. Something's gonna happen. They're gonna make sure they get somebody in there.
Trade for Westbrook.
Yeah, hey, he definitely sell out the Garden every night. But as far as Brooklyn goes, I think they're not gonna regret these moves. You bring in those two players, you have a good, solid foundation, and the young players are only gonna get better. Maybe the whole DeAndre Jordan, Jared Allen thing, I think that could have a little bit of friction, but because you kind of want Jared Allen to get more minutes, you want to get stronger. I mean, maybe they could put those type of habits in him, and maybe he will eventually start over DeAndre Jordan, but I don't see that happening with him being, close friends with KD and Kyrie. But Spencer Dinwiddie, he's used to coming out the bench. He's used to coming out the bench, so they're not like the Boston Celtics type of young players where they're really pressing. They've had playoff experience and success, so they haven't had that type of success yet. So they're just kind of ready to go along for the ride and pause. But they're ready to go along and continue to get better. And they're just kind of going for it. And I think they'll just they'll relish in the moment. This year will be kind of developmental year without KD being there. Kyrie will do his thing. He'll put on a show. But the young players, they need to focus on getting ready, get some playoff experience, and be ready when KD's out.
So you mentioned, LeVert's used to coming off the bench. How much longer do you think he'll be okay with coming off the bench before he realizes that he could probably be a starter elsewhere?
Probably another year or two. Maybe this year, because during the playoffs, I believe he averaged about 22 points. He played the best on their team during the playoffs. So
healed it up, yeah.
Yeah, he had some success there coming off that injury. It looked gruesome, but it seems like he's bouncing back fine. Still same player, if not continuing to get better. So I think maybe another year or two. What position do you think you guys see him as? Is he a shooting guard or a small forward? I have to ask that question.
He could play both, I think. I mean, at least with Durant gone, he can hop in at the small forward. And I just hope he gets the starting role. I feel like he's earned it in Brooklyn, and it would kind of suck to see like new guys come and take that from him.
Okay. I mean, if that's the case, if he's playing shooting guard, I believe he's like 6'6" or so that's a good size for a shooting guard. If he's playing that position, I can see him starting in Brooklyn. Who else do they really have starting at the 2 position? Maybe Joe Harris, maybe a knockdown shooter. But other than that,
3-point champ, baby.
Other than that, maybe this year they'll roll out Kyrie, LeVert, Prince and DeAndre, Jared, whoever else is playing.
That's
big
a
man.
solid lineup.
Yeah, exactly. Having Kyrie and LeVert being your main scorers, and Prince can do a little bit of everything. So they'll be a pretty good defensive team. You'll have the back line of whatever shot blocker you want. They'll both average like 2 or 3 blocks both. So they'll be solid. They'll definitely be solid on both ends of the court.
All right, Mike. I feel like I keep forgetting you're there because your video's gone now.
Hey, it's all good. I was about to say, Jordan, if I didn't know any better, I would say you don't like Kyrie Irving that much.
Wow, what gave that away?
Hey, honestly, will they regret this decision? I don't think so. Scared money don't make money. You have to sign these type of players when they're available, especially if they want to be with you. We see we're in an era where a team like Toronto just won a championship, offered a guy free food, free lawyer. They basically offered him the country just to stay there, and it didn't matter at the end of the day. These players, if they want to stay with your team and they're that good, I feel like a team like the Nets, who haven't done anything in years, who totally botched the whole Paul Pierce KG trade, I think you have to do this move no matter what. Yes, Kyrie comes with baggage, as does LeBron. He comes with some baggage. Kevin Durant comes with baggage. So I think you can weigh the pros and the cons if you want, but when you look at just what they bring to a basketball team and individually what Kyrie can do for you and what we've seen him do on the biggest stage, hey man, I'm spending that coin. Come on, lock you up for 4 years. We're going to put these butts in these seats. We're going to make this money, and we're going to try to win a championship. Now, the only way I think they could ever regret this is if Kevin Durant doesn't come back ever quite as good as he is. But even still, when you got an opportunity to get a guy like Kevin Durant, you empty the bank for that. Talk about Kyrie. For KD, you empty the bank for that guy. So there's a chance that they maybe could regret it, but I don't think so, honestly, man. When you have an opportunity to get superstars, you do it.
Okay. Fair. I mean, I expected those answers. I just had to get it off my chest.
Hey, do your thing, man. It's all right. It's a safe place.
All right, but continuing on, I guess we'll move on to the Celtics a little bit. They lost Al Horford to Philadelphia 76ers, which is probably the biggest backstab of all. But Boston still loves Al Horford, don't get me wrong. You find someone in Boston that says they hate Al Horford, they're not a real Celtics fan. Al Horford was an extremely loyal player. He got the stats and weren't necessarily recorded as stats. He was a solid guy to have on the team, and he will definitely be missed in Boston. So it kind of hurt to see him go to Philly. Terry Rozier probably got a contract to Charlotte. I'll leave it at that. He's going to Charlotte. And obviously Boston got Kemba Walker to replace Kyrie Irving. Looking at the draft, they took Romeo Langford at 14. I wasn't the biggest fan of that pick, saying Nasir Little was still on the board, especially with Romeo Langford being hurt. He's not playing in the summer league due to some wrist injuries. But their summer league prospects have been shining. Carson Edwards, Taco Fall, who they picked up after the draft, and then even Tremont Waters from LSU is shining in the summer league. So where do you see the Celtics kind of going moving forward, especially this season? It's going to be a lot to answer. I feel like with the whole Kyrie thing, everyone kind of forgot about Jaylen Brown. Everyone forgot about Jason Tatum a little bit. And I honestly believe, maybe that's just because I'm a Celtics fan, so I kind of want to hear your guys' input, that people are sleeping on the Celtics a little bit. I'm hearing people go off their top 5 seeds in the East, and they're not even having the Celtics in conversation of that. So I guess I just kind of want to hear your conversation of how you think the Celtics will be this season, and then a couple seasons after as well. Stacey, we'll start with you.
The Celtics not being in top 5 in the East, I find it kind of ridiculous thing. First of all, you still got Brad Stevens there. He's a pretty good coach. Then number 2, you still got good young talent. Jason Tatum. Jason Tatum needs to break out this year if the Boston Celtics want to break the ceiling. If they want to prove Dallas wrong, he has to break into that 20, 22 points per game range. He has to take off. I do agree that his growth was stifled a bit last season with them trying to work Gordon Hayward in the lineup. Then you got Kyrie, a ball-dominant player, but he needs to take off. And Jaylen Brown does need to stay consistent as well. He had his pressure struggles last season, but they're gonna be a top 5 team in the East. You got Kemba Walker. Kemba Walker, a baller. He's a baller. The problem with the problem for Kemba Walker is, but he's with the Charlotte Hornets. They just like a team that they just there. You know,
Yeah.
they just
He never really had anyone.
Right. If we make the playoffs, great for us. If we don't, you know, everybody expects us not to. So, you know, that's how it kind of was with the Hornets. So, and then, you know, Enes Kanter is a solid center in the NBA. People forget that he can average 15 and 11 on any given night. So, the Celtics, they're going to be fine. And as far as them moving forward in the future, hopefully Romeo Langford could be healthy, because I do like him coming out of Indiana. And Carson Edwards, I think a lot of people slept on Carson Edwards.
Oh, big time. I'm a huge fan of Edwards.
Yeah, they kind of expect him, you know, the college to be his ceiling, but I think he'll be a fine scoring guard in the NBA. And then, you know, we still got Marcus Smart, a gritty tough player. And also the way the Taco Fall's looking, they should keep him around. We brought him up on the previous episodes before. He can get rebounds. He can block shots. You want that in your lineup. You need a defensive center in the NBA. I know all the centers are stretching out and shooting, but at the end of the day, you're going to need somebody going to grab that board. So the Celtics, they're going to be fine. They're going to be fine. But it does depend on what Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown does.
Yeah, you brought up a couple points about Kemba that I wanted to touch on. Is like the feeling around Boston is that Kemba's kind of the happy medium between Isaiah Thomas and Kyrie Irving, where Kemba's not as talented as Kyrie was, but he kind of has more of like a locker room and chemistry addition like Isaiah Thomas did. So he's kind of that happy medium. So people are really excited to see, you know, what Kemba Walker can do. You brought up a good point that, you know, he's coming from Charlotte. He never really played with any real talent, and now he's going to be in a lineup with Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown. I'll throw Gordon Hayward's name in there. Maybe he can prove some doubters wrong this season. And then Enes Kanter, who I feel like is extremely slept on, like you also brought up. So I'm excited to see the future of Kemba Walker. I think that this year could really be a breakout year for him. He's got a lot of eyes on him for sure. David, what are your thoughts about the Celtics this season?
The Celtics' success, to me, I mean, they've brought in a lot of great players. They've brought in Kemba, Kanter, exactly what Stacey had brought up. They're good players. They're gonna do what they're gonna do. They're gonna be good offensive players. Defensively, I'm not too sure about them, but Brad Stevens is a pretty good coach, especially on the defensive side. He'll be able to mask them in a way to where they won't be detrimental to the team where you can't play them at all. So I think going forward, I think y'all are a good team. The success depends on your three forwards. It depends on Jaylen Brown, who's in a contract year, so he's looking to get paid. He has a little bit to prove. I think he'll get paid regardless, but he has something to prove, and he's trying to take the next step in his career. He kind of cleared the decks with Kyrie. Horford's not there, so there's more shots to go around. You'll have the ball a little bit more, so he'll like that. Jason Tatum, he's the youngest out of all of them, but he is maybe the most talented player on your team right now, at least with the most promise going forward in the future. You have superstar aspirations for him. If he can get in that 23 points per game, hey, you're looking at a very dangerous Celtics team, because Kemba's going to give you 25 plus probably, especially with Brad Stevens coaching him. So that's the thing with Kemba as well. He's never had good coaching. So coming to Brad Stevens, he may be able to do something like IT had and maybe have an MVP caliber year, averaging 30 or something. So that's something to keep an eye on. But the last piece is Gordon Hayward. Gordon Hayward has to play good this year. He has to at least get in that. Give me 15 points per game, because if you give me 15 points per game, I can make it up somewhere else on this team, especially having Kanter. He's going to get you at least 12 a night. So they'll be able to score. It's just defensively and having Gordon Hayward back to being that player that he was in Utah. Because in Utah, I thought him going to the Celtics was a great addition. He plays against the best players. He plays his best game. Against LeBron, he's hit a couple game winners. So he's ready for the moments. He's a great player. I definitely like Gordon Hayward. It's just coming off of that injury, another year throughout the offseason, he's been able to practice. He's been able to play. You're not on the boot all day. So maybe coming into this year, he'll be able to get back to being a starting NBA player. So if that can happen, and your center position, you have to shore that up. I like Kanter, but he can't be a starting center, especially with the defense y'all have going on. I'm not sure if you're starting Marcus Smart this year, but you have to shore up that center position and have somebody that can grab boards, because all that defense doesn't matter unless you're able to get the rebound at the end of the day. So those are my two question marks. Will be Gordon Hayward and your center position, shoring up both of those. Yeah,
the starting lineup's going to be different. Definitely interesting. I've heard a lot of rumors of a small ball lineup and also a traditional 5-man lineup, point guard, shooting guard, small, whatever. I've heard rumors of Robert Williams getting a starting role as a power forward and then having Cantor at the center, or vice versa. I've heard a lot of different things. Yeah, and the look on your face was just how I was feeling. I've heard that Marcus Smart will start at the 2 and they'll run small ball with Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. So they have a lot of options, and I guess it's going back to in Brad we trust. But the thing with Brad Stevens, and it kind of connects with Gordon Hayward, is there was a lot of rumors. I guess it's not even rumors at this point; it's news that he definitely like favored Hayward a lot and gave him way more minutes than he probably deserved. And you brought up a good point where if Hayward can bring up like 10, 15 points a game, that would be needed. Like even if he can't, I'd be fine with that. But everyone needs to be on the same page that he should not be getting like quality minutes. Like he needs to accept a back burner role if he can't get there. I mean, you can't blame him for the injury he went through. It was traumatic. And I feel like a lot of the thing with his play is all mental. There'll be times where, and I brought this up before, where he'll have an open lane to the basket and he just won't take it because he's afraid. So even if he can't get back to that all-star caliber, I need him and Brad Stevens to be okay with accepting a role player role, I guess.
Like Rudy Gay.
Exactly.
Be a quality player, but not a star player.
Exactly. And I think they need to accept that if he can't get back to where he is. And I think experimenting with Gordon Hayward, that period needs to be over. I mean, they gave it all of last season, and it's kind of getting on my nerves now seeing Twitter people going like, oh, give Hayward time. It's like, it's been a year already. Like, how much more time do you want to give him? You need to move on at this point. Michael, what are your whole thoughts about the Boston Celtics?
So I think the Boston Celtics are one of the interesting teams in the East because you have a lot of prove-it storylines within the team. You have Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, the young guys. Okay, you didn't want Kyrie, you didn't want a superstar there. You thought you were good enough. So now this year we're gonna see, can you prove it? Kemba Walker, we seen you get buckets in Charlotte in meaningless games. Now you're coming to a franchise that's looking to win a championship. They lead the NBA in championships. So can you be that guy on a championship roster when the expectations are on your shoulders? So that's another prove it situation. Brad Stevens, you didn't do too well with Kyrie Irving. So are you going to be able to handle another? He's not quite the superstar that Kyrie Irving is, but another star, another personality. Now, I don't think he'll have any problem with Kemba Walker. Just a guy with that type of character. I don't think he's going to rub anybody the wrong way. So, but when you look at the Celtics, they just have a lot of guys that need to prove something this year. And the East, let's be frank, it's still very competitive. Teams got better. Not a lot of teams got worse outside of the Raptors, who I think personally are still going to be a competitive team. So it's going to be tough. Even Enes Kanter, to a lesser degree, is proven. Yeah, we know he can get buckets, but a lot's been said about the defensive side of the ball and what he lacks there. And also, isn't this his third team in 3 years? Knicks, then Portland, now Boston. He's getting passed around for some reason. So can you find a home? Can you be an important and an unmovable piece, on a team? So it's just a lot of storylines to me coming out of Boston. We're going to see how these guys handle it and how Brad Stevens puts it together. Another guy I didn't even bring up, Gordon Hayward. Prove it. Are you back? Are we going to get the guy we've seen in Utah? Or like Jordan said, are you still timid? Are you still unsure of yourself? And like we said, it's not your fault. But when you're getting paid the way you're getting paid, hey, we need some production. Okay, we need some production. So I completely understand where you're coming from in that case, Jordan. It's going to be interesting for Boston. I think they're going to make the playoffs. I think they're going to be a bottom half of the East team through that 5 through that 8 range, or that 4 through that 8 range, somewhere in there. And I think they'll win a playoff series. Obviously, it's a lot of time before the season starts. Who knows what could happen? We'll see what lineups happen. They're going to be good defensively. But I'm personally interested in seeing how Tatum's going to develop. Like I always say, everybody was claiming this man was Kobe his first year. And I was like, hold on, watch your mouth. Give it some time. Let's not get crazy. The boy's nice, but he ain't the Mamba. So I'm really interested to see, with him probably looking as the de facto number 2 option, though I think Kemba's still going to be number 1. How's he going to react? Is he gonna not feed into being that number 2 guy, or is he going to thrive in that role? Is Jaylen Brown going to become a better shooter? There's lots of questions around the Celtics that I can't wait to see how it unfolds, but I think they're going to be a playoff team.
Yeah, Tatum is a god around New England.
Oh my
Oh
my God.
Oh my goodness. Hey, I got two questions for you guys. So,
Framed up.
do y'all think the Celtics are making it out of the first round this year? You got let me set the stage right quick. So you got the Sixers, you got the Bucks, you got the Nets, you got the Pacers, and probably the Celtics, Raptors in that range. So do you see them beating one of those top 4 teams or 5 teams? Do you think they'll get past that? Go ahead, Stacey. Go ahead. I'm gonna see what y'all think.
All right. First of all, Jordan, take that picture down. What happened at the end of the series? What happened at the end of the series?
This was all we needed.
But
And for those of you that aren't watching the video and just listening, I have a picture of Jason Tatum absolutely posterizing and embarrassing LeBron James from the Eastern Conference Finals a couple years ago.
Framed.
Yeah.
Don't forget, framed.
Framed.
It's framed.
I got more.
Right.
You should put frame game 7 too while you at it, and LeBron stats on that one. But anyway, to answer David's question, let me see. If the top 4 seeds are like 76ers, Bucks, the Indiana Pacers, who I think is going to be pretty good in the East, and the Brooklyn Nets, I don't know if Boston can get past those teams. I really don't know, because the Indiana Pacers are very, very good defensively, and hopefully Oladipo comes back in full health. And then they got Malcolm Brogdon, who's a 50, 40, 90 guy, and you still got Miles Turner. I don't know. They could give him problems. And then the Nets, I'm pretty sure Kyrie is going to be motivated, to say the least, if he sees them in the series. And the Nets are right now. I would take their talent over the Boston Celtics, just because Tatum and unfortunately Tatum is so, right now I see a first round exit. I think they're going to make it tough for somebody that they play, but I don't know.
It seems like Jordan likes this underdog role.
Keep sleeping.
Oh my goodness.
I love it. Keep sleeping.
I
I don't even have to argue. I'm just keep sleeping.
I don't see it happen. Not this year, man. Not this year.
Yeah, they're young. It's just they're still. I just have my questions about them.
Yeah. Like I was saying, it all depends on Tatum. If Tatum can take that leap, they're gonna be dangerous.
He took that leap.
Take that leap.
He took Oh my goodness. All right, Jordan. Over or under 2 fights between Marcus Smart and Kanter this year?
Oh, way over.
Way over.
Marcus Smart tries to fight anyone. No, but honestly, no. I actually think they're gonna get along really well. They both kind of have like the fight for my team attitude, and I was gonna bring it up earlier. I just kind of forgot. Kanter is kind of like that fight for my city type guy, and I think him and Marcus Smart are gonna get along really, really well, because they kind of have that same fighting mentality. So they're like the Beantown bullies over here. So they're gonna get along awesome, I think.
Mm-hmm.
All right. But I guess we'll move on from the Celtics before I give myself a heart attack. I'm gonna put my God back.
Put it back.
Into my shrine. So next we'll go on to Miami. They kind of surprised everyone when Jimmy Butler ended up signing there. I kind of felt like that was out of nowhere. I don't know how you guys felt about that. Out of all the places I saw Jimmy Butler going, especially because I'm sure he wants a ring. Miami was not on that list of places I saw anyone going to. So that was definitely a surprise. So what are your thoughts about Miami? They kind of gave up a little bit this offseason. They gained a little bit. Mike, we'll start with you this time.
I was just as shocked that Jimmy Butler decided to go to the Heat. I thought his number one priority was winning, and that's no disrespect to the Miami Heat, but I don't think they're in position to, I don't see them as a serious title contender. They've got a nice, when you describe a team as, they got a nice little squad, then that, most likely they're not gonna. They have Bam Adebayo. They still have Goran Dragic after trying to trade him 100 times. I like Tyler Herro, their rookie. They've got some pieces there, Justice Winslow, but they just don't have enough to really compete. I never saw Jimmy Butler, and respect to him wanting to be the number one guy, but like I was saying with Kyrie, I don't think he's the number one guy on a championship team. Now they might go out here and make this move for Westbrook, and then you have Westbrook and Jimmy Butler. Boy, I would love to be in those locker rooms after after a 20-point loss after Westbrook's fresh off a 4 for 28 showing.
28.
No, but I mean, with Westbrook, I think they're definitely a playoff team, and they're gonna put butts in seats, and they're gonna be exciting, and they're gonna be a tough team. Without him, with just Jimmy Butler, I think we'll see the Heat at the bottom of the East as well, in that 6 through 8 range down there, and they'll probably be one and done in the playoffs. They just don't have enough. They don't have enough in the East to compete with, especially teams like Philly. They've got nothing for Giannis. Hey, look, more power to you. Enjoy that weather out there, Jimmy. I'm sure it's lovely, but because you go be there often and early. So hey, it is what it is.
All right, David, what about you? What are your thoughts on Miami? And it was something I was going to add in later, but we can just go with it now because Mike already touched on it. Give your thoughts on with just Butler, and then give your thoughts on with Westbrook, because there are rumors that he is on the move potentially to Miami.
Yeah, pretty harsh on the Miami Heat, man. But I like Miami. I like the move. At first, it was like, yeah, why are you going to Miami? I thought you wanted to contend. But looking at it and actually, breaking it down and things like that, I think Miami's a good place for Jimmy Butler to be. Obviously, lifestyle, you can't really beat living in Miami. He'll be good down there in South Florida. But basketball fit-wise, I think this year, it may not be their year to compete. If they do get Westbrook, obviously that'll change things. But right now, they're probably not competing for anything too much. They'll probably be back into the playoffs. They'll probably get in. They have Jimmy Butler. They've been close with Dwayne Wade, so I'm pretty sure they'll be good with Jimmy Butler. But this move, I think, is more so, it may not be a move for this year. It may be a move for a year or two. Him going to Miami attracts players like Westbrook. Without them getting Jimmy Butler, you may not even be looking at getting a player like Westbrook. So they'll get somebody to go there with him within this next year or two. You have a lot of free agents coming up, and Miami's always a free agent destination. So having Pat Riley there, having Eric Spoelstra, a great coach, not a good coach, but a great coach, I think he'll be able to do some things with that team. He always keeps them competitive. It's the perfect environment for a player like Jimmy Butler. If you're not working your ass off, like he's on you. So Pat Riley's going to hold him to that standard. Eric Spoelstra's going to hold everybody to that standard. So he's not going to have to do that too much. He's not going to have any Minnesota Timberwolves type of issues. Having Deion Waiters there, maybe him being healthier this year. He did go down with an injury last year, but him being healthy this year, he's on the right trajectory to being a good NBA player. So I think they'll be okay this year. They'll be solid. Hopefully Goran Dragic can stay healthy. They might end up moving him. I think that's something they should definitely look into. But if they're able to keep everybody healthy, I think they'll definitely be in the playoffs. But if they add Westbrook, that's the interesting part, right? If they add Westbrook to go along with Jimmy Butler, they're two guys that have a big ego, that have a chip on their shoulder, that go 100 miles per hour all the time. But I think it works. I love that. Just for media reasons, I love that match, because you have Westbrook, somebody that doesn't let off on the court. You have Jimmy Butler, somebody that doesn't let off on his teammates. And they're going to be fighting with everybody in the East. Everybody in the East is their enemy. There's no friends in the East. Nobody buddy. So I love that matching between them two. I'm not sure how it works basketball-wise, because Russell does have his issues, and we've seen star after star continue to leave them. So I think Russ, maybe he'll continue to grow, he'll continue to develop, and realize he has to get other people involved. But Eric Spoelstra, like I said, a great coach. Having him with Russell Westbrook maybe help him take that next step and realize how to play more winning basketball per se, not so much stat padding as people say. Even though, average triple-double, we putting butts in Miami seats. So for a business perspective, it makes sense too.
Okay. Stacey, what about you? How's Miami looking with Butler, and then with Butler and Westbrook?
Well, first of all, when I found out that Jimmy Butler was going to sign to Miami, I immediately had text my brother, because my brother, he's a Miami Heat fan, but he hates Jimmy Butler. So I thought that was pretty funny. But
does he like Butler now?
I think he's just like, you know what, he's there, go Heat. He's dealing with it. But I might surprise him with a Butler jersey at some point, just to see how he reacts.
Gotta do it.
For a Christmas gift.
Yeah. Yeah, but at first I was like, why are you going to the Heat? I thought you wanted to win the championship. I thought he was like, I was gonna go to the Lakers. The Rockets was a nice destination for him. Going back to the 76ers would have worked, but the Miami Heat, they like a middle of the road team. But then I thought deeper, and I always said this about the Miami Heat for the past few seasons. They were just one dominant score away from, taking that next leap and being a dangerous team in the playoffs. And now they have that with Jimmy Butler. Last year, they were close to getting that A seed. And this year, with Jimmy Butler on that team, providing scoring 20 to 25 points per game, I can see them being a playoff team and giving one of the top 4 seeds, whoever that may be, nightmares, because they are a tough, gritty defensive team. They grind it out. They always stay in the game. And then with Deion Waiters hopefully coming back healthy, and then you still got a good young player, Justice Winslow, Tyler Harrell. This team could be they could be something. And also, I thought them signing Jimmy Butler, they have to have some sort of plan going forward. You just don't get Jimmy Butler, and Jimmy Butler agrees to go there after he states that he wants to win a championship. They have to have a plan, and maybe that plan is Russell Westbrook. And if Russell Westbrook goes there, there'll be a great look for him. He'll be under air exposure. I think the problem is with Russell Westbrook, the coaches is where I wasn't too fond of them in Oklahoma City. Billy Donovan and Scott Brooks, they didn't, speak volumes to me as a head coach. So him going with Spoelstra could do wonders for him.
Yeah, I mean, with just Butler, not with Westbrook, I don't even think they're making the playoffs. I sense the hurt in that, but I don't even think they're making the playoffs. I feel like this offseason brought a lot of parity to the NBA. The East is a lot stronger than I think it's ever been, and a lot more wide open. Same with the NBA, I guess, in general. But, yeah, with just Jimmy Butler, I don't see that being enough. With Westbrook, now you're talking, but that also leads to, potential chemistry issues, as you brought up, David. How's the locker room going to look or whoever mentioned it, when Westbrook goes 4 for 20, which is going to happen. It's going to happen. Like, that's inevitable. So that's definitely something you got to consider. But from what I'm hearing, that Westbrook is interested in going to Miami. So maybe he's willing to look past all that and not shoot 4 for 20. But I guess we'll wrap up that talk with Miami and move on to the last team we have for the night, the Golden State Warriors. And this is kind of where it gets interesting. Obviously, they have Clay out of the rotation now because of the injury. They added D'Angelo Russell. They lost DeMarcus Cousins. They lost Kevin Durant. And they lost Iggy. Is this the end of a dynasty as we know it? We'll start with you this time, Mike.
Yeah, it's definitely the end of a dynasty. Once you trade Kevin Durant out of there, dynasty over. That's it. It was no dynasty. It's a done deal. I think they'll definitely still be competitive next year. Whether they keep D'Lo or not, I think they're going to keep D'Lo. I think they're going to keep him the whole season. They might keep him to a trade deadline. I think they're going to keep things afloat. But we are going to see them in a place that we haven't seen them in a while, the bottom of the West. I think they're going to be somewhere down in that 6 through 8 range. We're going to see them not have home court advantage. We're going to see Steph Curry probably put up some video game numbers. But I like some of the additions they've made. I like bringing in Willie Cauley-Stein at the center position. Big, young center. He likes to step out and try to shoot and knock down jumpers. He's developing as an offensive player, but he's just another big body that they really lacked when they played the Raptors, and that showed in the paint. So someone else to help Kevon Looney out. Picking up D'Angelo Russell, another three-point shooter, someone else who can create. Another thing that got exposed in the finals was they didn't really have no ball handlers outside of Steph Curry to create for others. So that's how teams are able to run a boxing one against you, like we saw the Raptors do. So I think he brings another dynamic to them, a different swag, if you will, to the Warriors. But the dynasty is definitely over. I think the West is as wide open as it's ever been, and I think they're part of a pack of about almost 10 teams that realistically think they have a shot at winning a championship. So dynasty's done. It was a great little run, but now you're just back to the pack as a competitive Western Conference team. Yeah,
I think you brought up a good point. I feel like them grabbing Willie Cauley-Stein was definitely one of the more underrated moves of free agency. Because of all the points you brought up, I won't even repeat it. But him paired with Kevon Looney, that's a solid pair right there.
Yeah, that's a nice little front court.
Yeah, I feel like that's definitely underrated a little bit. So I like that pair. Question about D'Lo though, and I was having this argument with my friends the other day. Obviously this is Curry's team. Curry's at the 1. Do you think it will be Curry at the 1, D'Lo at the 2, or do you think it makes more sense to have D'Lo at the 1 and Curry at the 2?
I think those are just names. I don't think it really matters. I think they'll both be in the backcourt. At times you'll see D'Lo initiating offense. At times you'll see Steph Curry initiating offense. Those two both move well without the ball and can spot up and shoot threes. That it's going to be one of those times where who's hot right now? Oh, Steph's hot. Let's just get him the ball. D'Lo, run the offense, find Steph. Or hey, D'Lo's hot right now. Steph, find them more. Who? It just depends on who's hot. But as far as their actual position, if I was lining them up and I had to put a position beside them, it'd be Steph at the 1, D'Lo at the 2.
Okay. Stacey, what about you? What are your thoughts on the Warriors, and do you think it is the end of the dynasty?
Yeah, it's the end of the dynasty. Yeah, it's the end.
You say it like you're so sad about it.
It's a little sarcasm in it, but
I'm thrilled to see another team that's finally going to be in the West Coast represent.
I'm not sad about it. I mean, we all knew it was coming. At some point, dynasties do fall, and the Warriors, they experienced that. Are they still a good playoff team? Yes. I mean, you still have Steph Curry, you still have Draymond Green, Kevon Looney. I expect him to take a lead. Willie Cauley-Stein can get boys. You have D'Angelo Russell. I mean, they're going to make some noise in the playoffs, but as far as them winning a championship, it's not going to happen. But I'm also interested to see when Klay Thompson comes back, if he comes back late in the season or even next season, they still have D'Lo. Maybe not, but I'm assuming maybe they still have D'Lo. I'm interested to see how that lineup will work. I could see Klay Thompson, going to the 3 because he always guards threes. He always end up guarding the best wing player on the team, and he's a knockdown shooter. He's in this offense. He's going to score more points. He's going to get more opportunities. Steph staying at the point guard. I think he's a better passer than D'Lo. D'Lo, one knock I got about him on his game is his efficiency. I believe last year he shot just 43% from the floor. He got to up that at Golden State. You got to get up there. You got to get up there to the 47, 48% range if you want a shot. Because, Golden State, they shoot the ball. They like to shoot the ball and run the floor. So you got to be efficient in this type of offense. But it's the end of the dynasty for Golden State. But they're still going to be a playoff team for another few years to come.
Okay. David, what about you?
It's over for Golden State, man. It's a nice run. Steve Kerr, you got to see how good of a coach you really are nowadays.
True that.
Not having Klay Thompson, he'll probably come back, I assume probably February or March. They're going to be probably a little cautious about it. So looking at late February, I think this team, they'll be fighting one of the bottom 4 teams in the playoff season. So in that 5 to 8 range, I think they'll definitely be in the playoffs by the time it comes around. Adding D'Angelo Russell was a great move. I don't like it. It's a great move because you got rid of KD and you're able to supplement it with D'Angelo Russell. But I don't like it as far as basketball-wise because Steph Curry and D'Angelo Russell in your backcourt without having Klay Thompson, Iguodala to help them on the wing, that defense is going to be terrible. They're going to be giving up 50 points as they drop 50 points. So that's going to be a scratch at the same time. So I do think it's a 3 or 4 month tryout for D'Angelo Russell. If he's able to fit with Steph Curry, if he locks in a little bit more defensively, then I think he may be able to stick with this team. But going forward, I think they will try and they'll definitely field some offers for him, see if they can get something. I believe the time that they're able to trade him is like mid-December, being that he was a signed free agent. So he'll have some time to, get familiar with the team, work out some kinks, but he has to produce immediately. Not having Klay Thompson there, they're going to need somebody else there other than Steph because Steph, he can score, but he's not the type of player that can carry a team, especially without having shooters around him. Like, other than D'Angelo Russell, nobody out there is really going to be shooting too much. So I like the Willie Cauley-Stein addition. He's an athletic big. He's somebody that gives them a different dynamic to their team. A lot of people wanted them to do that when they had the super team, but now that they have these other role players, I think it's just an opportunity for him to shine. And him taking a pay cut to go there means that he really wants to win. He really wants to show what he can do to contribute to a winning team. So I like that. Draymond Green is definitely a wild card. If he's able to get his scoring up, because he can't average 7 points again. He did that last year. If he averages 7 points, this team may miss the playoffs. Yeah, this team may miss the playoffs.
It's a wrap.
Another year older, and hopefully his defense is able to get back to the point that we saw in his prime about a year or two ago prior to this. If he's able to do that, then I think this Warriors team will be fine. The only issue they may have is a depth issue. They did let a lot of players go. Sending Iguodala over to Memphis to only trade 3 first-round picks for that, I think they kind of mortgaged their future a little bit. So they're in win-now mode, but defensively, I just don't like this team. They'll be able to score somehow. Steve Kerr is going to find a way for them to score outside of Steph and D'Angelo Russell. But defensively is going to be their biggest issue, I think.
Hey, if D'Lo doesn't work out, Monte Ellis wants to come back into the NBA. That would be pretty cool to see.
So the show.
Monte Ellis and
full circle.
Curry were back at it from the beginning. Oh, no. That would be cool. All right, to end off the episode, let's kind of do a pick your own top 3 in the NBA. Like, who is the top 3 players in the NBA at this moment? Not of all time, not, LeBron was great in 13, whatever. Like, at this moment today, who are your top 3 players in order? We'll go from number 3 to number 2 to number 1. You'll do all 3 at a time. We'll just kind of go in a circle and see what you guys think. And I'm curious. I think there's going to be a lot of different answers in this one. I'm kind of excited to see how high Mike rates LeBron. Same with Stacey. Stacey's a LeBron lover. I'm a LeBron hater. So
hey, I'm with you.
No shame in that. I absolutely hate LeBron. Do I need to get the picture again, or are we good?
No.
But Stacey, we'll start with you. Who are your top 3 players at the moment? Start at number 3.
My top 3 players at the moment. Spoiler alert, I don't have LeBron on this list. I don't have him on this list. But
it's a good list.
To be, gotta be a But at number 3, I have Giannis Antetokounmpo at number 3. At number 2, I have James Harden, and then at number 1, I have Kawhi Leonard. The reason why I have Giannis under James Harden is because of the jump shooting. Giannis don't have a jump shot. James Harden obviously do, and James Harden, he go on that pace where he can score 30 points a game and high X amount of games during the season at any given moment. I don't think Giannis has that type of ability yet. But the reason why he's in my top 3, he could give you a double-double. He could give you 25 points, but he could also give you 12 rebounds too. So, and he's a great defender right now, and he's only going to get better. Kawhi is at number 1 because he got it right now. He got it. Finals MVP. He's great on both sides of the ball. The load management paid off, and he's going to do wonders for that Clippers team. He can get 25 to 30 points. He can lock you down. He get like 2 steals a game. He can get like 6, 7, 8 boards. And surprisingly, he could give you 4 or 5 assists too. So, and he's very clutch. He's very clutch. So, I got him at my number 1 spot. So to reiterate, got Giannis at 3, James Harden at 2, and Kawhi Leonard at 1.
Okay. One thing I forgot to specify at the beginning. This is assuming everyone's healthy. Do you want to go back and change your list, or are you good with that? You're still good?
No, I'm good.
Okay,
yeah,
I forgot to clarify that, so I wanted to give you a
Kevin Durant.
Assuming everyone's at full health.
Oh, okay. Well, that changed. All right.
Yeah. My apologies for not mentioning that. So Stacey, you said you're good though, right?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay, David, we'll move over to you. Top 3 at the moment, starting at number 3.
Okay, well, assuming everybody's healthy, I'm gonna go number 3, James Harden. Number 2, Kevin Durant. Number 1, Kawhi Leonard. So my thinking behind that, Kawhi Leonard is really best player in the game to me. He does it on both ends of the court. A lot of these other top players, they do it on both ends of the court, but it's not to the degree he does it defensively. He's already an all-time great defender. So having that aspect, he's the best defender out of anybody you're going to name. And his offense, we saw it this year. He's able to take it to another level where he's able to average 30-plus in the playoffs. So him able to do both of those things and lead a team out of country to a championship, it kind of speaks for itself. So doing otherworldly things, number 1. Number 2, Kevin Durant, we know what's up with Kevin Durant. He's going to score no matter what. We already know what the offense is, but he's really improved his game defensively and being a little bit better of a playmaker. I think that was the weakest aspect of his game was his playmaking, but he's become a little bit better. He doesn't throw as many turnovers as he used to. So going to Golden State, I think that improved his game. And he really showed us this year after Pat Bev and Lou Williams was getting on his nerves, he went in supernova mode where, hey, I'll average 35 the rest of this series, and we're going to make short work of this. So we know what happened. KD, you know who he is. Like, we know what's up with KD, especially when he's healthy. So I think he's second best player. And then third, I go with James Harden. The reason I go with James Harden is because, like Michael said earlier in this, him by himself, he's winning 50 games. Like, he's getting you to the playoffs. You'll be a top 4 seed probably as long as you have decent talent around him. And he makes his teammates better. He's probably one of the best passers in the league, probably top 5, especially in creativeness and things like that. So best isolation player this generation, maybe. So I might be a little high on that, but I definitely think he's up there with all of that. So James Harden with me. Everybody talks about his playoff woes, but as a Rockets fan, I have an unbiased opinion when it comes to James Harden. I'm not the biggest Harden fan, actually. So I watching him night in and night out. I do see his flaws. I do see his successes. I think in the playoffs, people give him a bad rap, but he's not as bad as people say. He averaged 35, 8 and 7 throughout the series with the Warriors and shot good. So those type of things, people like to try and nitpick with James Harden, just I guess because of the way he plays, but he's not as bad as people make him out to be. So he's definitely third, and he's starting to develop defensively, and I think that's what's took him into that top 5, top 3.
Okay. So unbiased. You said you're an unbiased Harden.
I am, at least with James Harden. Like, I'm unbiased when it comes to James.